Our world has faced no greater threat than it does today. But you can't fight this war on your own, Mr. Porter. He's too strong.
Well, I hope you brushed up on your Potterology when you go see this, because it's a lot of stuff to digest in this.
Now that we've moved into, this is the seventh movie, the eighth?
The seventh movie. The Deathly Hallows.
They've reached this point now where they ain't looking at they're not catering to the casual fan. If you just now just sit like, oh, I've been hearing about this Harry Potter, I guess I'll go check one of these out. This movie's not for you.
Yeah, not at all.
This is for everybody who's been reading or watching movies up to now.
Well,
it's like they pretty much, like the mission statement is like, hey, have you been checking out Harry Potter? Good. Oh, no? Well, fuck you.
Usually movies like this, even if they don't start with, like on television previously on Harry Potter,
right.
Then at the very least, whenever there's something that's very plot specific to something that happened earlier, they'll do a flashback or something. This doesn't even fuck with that at all. It's you know what that shit is. I read the series like 3 times. I've seen all the movies multiple times, and even there's stuff I was like, I don't remember what that is.
Well, I got one question for all you guys. Like, what do I have to research? Because the movie I saw tonight, nothing goddamn happened. I mean, it was just kids hanging out in the woods.
When I read the book, I got kind of exhausted. Like, I knew when to get up and go to the bathroom, because I was like, man, I remember digging this book, but there's a point when they're in the woods and it just seems like it goes on forever.
Well, there's no resonance to what's happening to their characters and what's going on if you are not intimately familiar with everything they've just been through. Of course, you're like, it's just the Blair Witch Project.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a witch.
Yeah, with a super huge budget. Yeah.
But in this case, it's they're going through the worst time of their lives. These people who really think they're probably not going to make it. And if you're emotionally attached to those characters, it's actually pretty powerful watching them go through this. But if you, like co-host, just don't care about people or things at all and have no heart or soul, you're sitting there watching them going like, will you please just
do something? Will you guys go swimming or something? Well, I mean, there was nothing going on.
Let's be fair. Before they got to the woods, there's a lot of spells going on, a lot of fighting.
And I didn't know what the hell was going on during those scenes either. I was like, okay, who's fighting who? Who's this character they keep bringing back in flashback? Why is Voldemort in flashbacks all the time? They're not
flashbacks.
Was this stuff from prior movies?
See, this is why you don't understand.
Yeah.
See, this has been since the first movie. Harry is intimately connected, like they haven't had sex or anything, but they're intimately connected with Voldemort, the main villain, because when Voldemort tried to kill him when he was a little kid, it didn't work, and they got like their souls are kind of shared, and so you never see Voldemort doing it, but Harry has flashes of seeing whatever is going on in Voldemort's life, and that's what's going on there. He was this little Voldemort
They're connected.
TV going on in his head.
Moment of Potter.
Well, you know what? Next time, if they had to redo this, I'd say, you know what? Let's follow Voldemort around, because there's a lot more interesting shit going on with him than there is with Harry Potter.
Now, I would say I like this movie better than you. I can already tell you that, but you do you do have a point. There's a moment where look, if you ever thought hanging around Harry Potter and his friends was exciting, go on a camping trip with them, and you're going to see how dull that's going to be. You're going to sit around with them around the fire and be like, y'all are magic. Don't y'all do more shit than this?
Well, Corey, clearly you've never been camping, because just regular camping is super boring.
They have the ability to teleport, yet they keep teleporting into the goddamn woods.
It's apparate.
They are they're trying to stay hidden from the people who want to kill them.
Yeah, did you miss that whole
Well, why don't they go to a titty
life?
bar or something? Who's going to expect 16-year-olds hanging out at a titty bar? Come on.
Well,
really?
these are like the forces of evil. They're probably just hanging out at the titty bar themselves.
The force of evil already at the titty bar.
Yeah, they're probably dancing at the titty bar.
Yeah, and even then, a camping trip is cool when it's a girl, but again, she's underage, so it's like you out of luck on this trip.
But you have to remember with this movie, I mean, they kept referencing the kids being, I guess, 16, 17. And I'm just like, oh, aren't these guys like in their mid-20s by now? But
I grew up with Welcome Back, Kotter, where all the kids in high school were in their 30s.
That's right.
Mr. Kotter,
gotta
go to the bathroom.
It did apparently actually cause problems on the set. I mean, they had to use extra makeup. The girl, what's the name of the actress? Emma Watson. Apparently, she was going through menopause, so they had to keep covering her blushes up. So.
They're throwing tampons tampons and ask Patronum. Go clean yourself up. Damn it.
Menopause. That's when they stop. Has no one explained this to you, Corey?
I don't get that deep when it comes to that stuff.
That was a Harry Potter spell. Menopause.
Apparently the vagina is still magical to me. I don't know how that works. So you have Voldemort, who's a little more powerful now, and they've taken over the Ministry of Magic, the dark powers.
Whereas before, like between the wizards and the the regular people, Muggles, us people with no magic, they always kind of kept the separation. But now that Voldemort has come back into power, he's like, fuck the separation. We're pretty much going to take over. We're gonna get rid of everybody who's a half blood or don't have magic.
And a half blood is somebody who's half human and half wizard or magic, whatever.
And the first step is to get rid of all the wizards who might oppose him, all the good wizards, and especially that goddamn Harry Potter who he can't fucking stand.
Well, it's not just that. He can't become all powerful without killing Harry Potter because part of his existence is tied into Harry. The prophecy, as it were, says that one of them has to die.
Yeah, you can't be king until you get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. Or, the world can't be free until Harry gets rid of him. Whatever. Somebody's got to get rid of somebody.
So Harry's like the magical cock blocker then.
I suppose.
Or Voldemort is, depending. Because Harry would be getting tail left and right if it wasn't for Voldemort. It'd be great. But now he's hiding out in the woods with a girl who's dating his best friend, who's being a dick, by the way, about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I
will never understand that relationship in the movie because they never really made a good line to really just say these two are together. It's always like
last movie.
Did they? Well, it must have.
I mean,
fooled me. Honestly,
there's a lot of hinting, but they bring it across slowly to where you're like, oh, I think they like each other.
But here's the main thing: is that in the last movie was the beginning of the final coup.
Yeah, it's
where
all
Voldemort said, his plan worked. He took out Dumbledore. Spoiler. As far as like a lot of the forces were good concerned, they lost.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, and now
that was the end of the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, well, no, this is a very thinly. I don't know how it is in the book, but a very thinly veiled metaphor for the Nazi Party taking over Germany.
Certainly.
I mean, right down to they have Gestapo wizards and. I don't know. The only thing that's missing is Voldemort don't have little Hitler mustache underneath his snake nostrils. It just keeps falling off every time.
Yeah, maybe Harry Potter's parents were his plastic surgeons.
Oh, fuck!
What happened?
His tooth just fell out.
Your tooth fell out?
Yeah, I have a temporary tooth where it cracked.
Oh,
is this supposed to be glued in?
I thought maybe you were turning into Jeff Goldblum.
I got little hairs on the back.
But so he's like pretty much we got one thing left to do, Voldemort, which is kill Harry Potter. But Harry and the gang have a very long shot of a plan, which was Dumbledore set in motion, which is that it turns out Voldemort has separated pieces of his soul and incorporated them into items called Horcruxes and hidden them all over the land, of which they officially know where 2 of them are and have no idea how to destroy the second one.
I mean, that is the part where, like, if you aren't paying attention, you get completely lost.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Horcruxes is, last movie, Dumbledore's telling Harry, you got to find these things and destroy them because even if you kill him, he can use one of those to come back. Yeah. And they got to destroy him, which is not even easy.
Pretty much everyone they know is either imprisoned or dead, and they are literally on their own. The 3 main characters, teleporting for you co-hosts, so I don't confuse you.
I was about to say, because
magical terms.
Did you mind just telling me what's going on again? Because I was too busy taking a shit while you were talking about it.
Well, I mean, you're right. No matter how much we explain it, at this point in this juncture, either you know what's happening or you don't.
I mean, it's a ballsy thing to take a book and try to like not cater to new people when you're making an expensive movie because you want to reach as many people as possible, but you just go like, you know what, just going to respect this story, respect the people who are into it, and just keep going.
It was so much time between this movie and the last movie that I forgot a lot of details, and a lot of it has to do also with just the way this movie is paced. I know they're trying to stick close to the book and the pacing of leave as much detail as they can in this story so that it can be faithful for the fans and be a true adaptation or as much as they can for a movie. But the pacing works for this movie because it feels genuine.
Yes.
I was telling you earlier that, we were talking about, man, this feels like kind of like an art film in a way. And I was saying, well, it does. And I think it's just, and maybe not even that. It feels like somebody who has made a blockbuster movie who has not tried to cheapen it with blockbuster things.
Yeah, a lot of blockbuster things that you expect are a lot of wisecracks and roller coaster action. just because they want everybody to get all pumped up. But this doesn't have that. It's a very serious in tone. It's intense most of the time. It's scary. It's on the edge.
It's really character based.
Yeah, like when things pop out, you feel a genuine sense of danger throughout the movie. And the humor is few and far between. It is funny, but it's more like you're just a chance to relax and just like...
Yeah, the tiniest little thing that breaks a tension is funnier than it actually is because it's so thick, that tension.
Can I interject here? If something's not broken, don't try to fucking fix it, because with this movie, I was literally bored to tears. I mean, I was really trying to get some sense of a dread as far as what's going on, but I guess the last movie left me kind of disappointed because I didn't feel like there was a big finale to that last film. If Dumbledore and his whole team lost, I really didn't get a sense of that. I really didn't feel like there was a big loss. I didn't have that Empire Strikes Back feeling.
No,
I was awake. I was awake,
so and I know what happens at the end of that.
No, I know, but at the same time, when I walked out, a lot of the fans, at least the people who were loyal to that book, told me that that movie would have been a lot better if they would have stuck to what happened in the book, which there was a huge battle involving the school, and they really didn't show that. And I felt, because it felt like something was missing. It felt like something was cut out of the movie for some reason. And diving into this one, I really just didn't get the sense that everyone was all that concerned. Sure, they'd have some scenes where it's like, okay, we got to get Harry out of here, but then they'd go to a wedding scene where I'm like, maybe that's in the book, but you know what? In this movie, it's not working. It doesn't make any sense to me why they're stuck at a place in an open field, open to the world. It just made no real logical sense to me why they're doing this.
And they're being hunted down.
The motivation behind the whole thing just didn't make any goddamn sense.
You're not wrong about that scene, and it's been a while since I've read the book, but sure. I think they establish early on that area has magical protection.
Yeah, they did.
And that there is, in fact, they talk about this briefly in the movie, there is a spy. There is someone among the good guys' number who is fucking with shit. Mm-hmm. And that person, and they don't explain it in the movie, basically defused their protections. So in the middle of the wedding, they're able to be attacked. Well, if they just said, let's just have a wedding and not worry about it, evil won't attack now.
Well, you know what, Cyrus? They should have had you at the corner of the screen telling me that, because without knowing that, I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Well,
it's stupid. It's stupid logic.
I thought it was a screw up too, but I'm like remembering as best as I could from the book.
Well, a lot of things happen with this. It's a quiet drama set in the midst of a special effects film, a big budget spectacle special effects movie.
Which I didn't think. I thought they failed with that. I didn't.
Well, the thing is that it works. Again, what I was saying, where it kind of works for the drama of the movie, and it also works for the creeping sense of dread that is leading up to. I mean, really, the movie was intense to me. I was scared for these characters while they were hiding out. However, that quiet drama really does slow down this film a lot, and there's a whole chunk of film with there's little bits of action interspersed in there, but there are some things I think they probably could have edited out of this to speed it along. I mean, there's a thing here where it's being loyal to a fault to that book, I think, but I don't know. I haven't read the book.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Loyal to a fault. I remember in the book that feeling that you're talking about, it was even worse. They actually did tighten it up and move it along. But you're supposed to get that feeling like where they're waiting, they're trying to figure things out, and they're just starting to get frustrated. And you get frustrated too. You're like, guys, figure it out. And it's almost like they would like look at you, go like, hey, we're trying, goddammit, get off our backs.
Well, the thing is, it's the last book, and for me, this is like the last. This is going to be the last part of the series, and I guess I just wanted to be wowed. I wanted to feel like part of the story is moving along, like it was really building up to something. But I felt like I was watching like a boring prequel to the grand finale that I wanted to see. Like Hermione, all she's doing in this movie is crying every once in a while. The Ron Weasley guy, he's getting pissed off at the flip of a page. All of a sudden, he's angry, and I'm like, why are you so angry now? What is
this? You're missing pieces. Like, through every part of your review, it's like, wow, there's big chunks of this that you just either weren't catching or weren't paying attention.
No, I was paying attention, but the motivations just didn't.
You didn't see what
I thought they were going.
Like why they were having those emotional.
I thought they were going a little too fast with it, and just the way, I guess the way they delivered it.
No, there's a reason. They even explain explain why everybody's so emotional,
pretty
why
thoroughly.
this keeps happening.
Yeah, it's because they're carrying around the Horcrux.
Well, if they're, I mean, you know what? I honestly
thought Frodo with the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Like
well, you know what? That though, I got a sense that I understood their motivations of why they were acting. This, it just seemed like the director's like, okay, you're supposed to be upset now. You're supposed to be upset at Harry.
Even if
I just didn't buy it.
You didn't because even if you don't, they explain it through certain magic. I won't go into details for people who are listening to this. I mean, but there's certain magical ways that they explain it, but they also explain it because of certain emotions that have built up within all those characters over time. Maybe they've grown up, they're just like teenagers. They have all this chemistry, which is changing, and there's a lot of jealousy, envy, insecurities, and all those things that a teenager goes through. Not only do they have to go through it as teenagers, but it's just compounded by the fact that, well, they got to go on this huge journey to defeat this crazy evil that's out there. But there's also these outside forces that are playing on those emotions.
What's wrong?
Wrong? Nothing's wrong. Not according to you, anyway.
But if you've got something to say, don't be shy. Spit it out.
All right, I'll spit it out. But don't expect me to be grateful just because now there's another damn thing we've got to find.
I thought you knew what you signed up for.
Yeah, I thought I did too.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't quite understand. What part of this isn't living up to your expectations? Did you think we were going to be staying in a 5-star hotel, finding a Horcrux every other day? You thought you'd be back with your mum by Christmas?
I just thought, after all this time, we would have actually achieved something. I thought you knew what you were doing. I thought Dumbledore would have told you something worthwhile. I thought you had a plan.
I told you everything Dumbledore told me. And in case you haven't noticed, we have found a Horcrux already.
Yeah, and we're about as close to getting rid of it as we are to finding the rest of them, aren't we?
Please take the Horcrux. You wouldn't be saying any of this if you hadn't been wearing it all day.
Do you know why I listen to that radio every night, dear? To make sure I don't hear Ginny's name. Or Fred. Or George. Or Mum.
What you think I'm not listening to? You think I don't know how this feels?
No, you don't know how it feels! Your parents are dead! You have no family!
Stop! Stop!
Finally, go! Go then!
These movies are a metaphor for a lot of things, in addition to the Nazi Party, apparently, but also just teenage angst also, and growing up and having to deal with the responsibilities that you never had to deal with before, and also these
turning 40 like the characters are.
But man, one thing I can tell you that I agree with you on, maybe not to the extent that you feel so strongly about, but this director David Yates, I did feel like in the last movie. I forgave it in the last film. I felt like it should have built up to that climax that everybody was talking about. You told me about it, like there was a huge fight at the end. I'm like, look, it's a movie. I don't care what it's leading into. Build up to a climax and let us feel like, hey, we're okay. Wow, that was great. And I can't wait to see what they do to top that in the next film. Same thing in this movie, man. This director has something there's something about him where he likes to start out strong and then just get kind of more quiet as the movie goes on, to where at the end it's like, okay, I know you got to go into something else, but really, being a film, there needs to be some sort of build-up. I don't care if it's a big special effects ending or if it's some emotional build-up. I felt like that was kind of lacking here.
It was. It really was.
With the last movie at the end, it's harder to want to give him the slack. But if I was to grant any slack for this is part one of a 2-part thing. So it just ends where it does. I mean, there's not that point to do that and tell what has to be the rest of the story.
Yeah, on some level, you want to blame the studio more than the director, who the director is put in a weird position to take a book that was never meant to be told as 2 separate books.
Right.
It's meant as one big, 3-part story, and then he's like, no, you got to tell 1.5 of those parts. It's an awkward position to be put in, and I thought that he chose to go a really different direction than the previous movies in the tone and the way he told it. I mean, he made an art horror film is essentially what he did, and I think taken in that context and taken in the context as a huge fan of these characters and where they're going and how they've got here, I thought it was a success.
Well, it's not. It is by no means a children's movie. That first movie that you saw, that Chris Columbus film, this ain't that shit at all.
Ghosts flying around and everybody's plates filling up with food.
No, this is this is very much. There's the magic, there are the creatures, there's all the ghosts and everything that you're afraid of, but it's just the people in this movie are scary. They set up right from the very beginning. What's the dark school called? It's
The dark.
The dark arts. Slytherin. Yeah. A lot of those people in the dark arts have taken over. There's just this feeling kind of almost hopelessness through the film.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the point. It's supposed to be that level of bleakness where there doesn't feel like there's any way out. Like if there's a window open, it's way far away.
And it's very suspenseful. I mean, there's a moment in this movie where they have to infiltrate everybody that they are supposed to be running from, and when they're doing that, you see one of the characters sweating, and I noticed, like, man, I'm kind of sweating with them right now. I really feel nervous for these people, and that's where the movie works. I wish there could have been more progress in that area, but the parts of the movie that work very well.
Yeah, and I can't fault a guy for being faithful to the source material in as much as just there's such an expectation to do that. Yeah. And there's the having that climactic ending here right in the middle of this story. It's going to throw everything else off that has to be in there. You just couldn't get around it. But the intensity that was all through it, I absolutely loved that. I mean, I'm like, yeah, this is a movie I want to watch again and get that feeling. It's not for kids anymore. And I also found it interesting, like the bad guys have taken over. But even like when you see the bad guys camp, even being a bad guy on the winning side is not that good because your boss sucks.
Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson. I'm glad that they've kept these kids for the whole series so that not only could we see them grow up as these characters, but also grow up to be better and better actors. A lot of people were early on doubting, like, well, when these kids grow up, we're going to see how cute they are, if they can keep if they can continue to act as adults, and they do. Yeah, I mean, they actually
they've been very lucky that the actors have gotten better and the characters have grown up. They've I don't want to say evolved, but they've gotten more complex as they've gone along. I mean, my criticisms of the movie are just they're so slight. I didn't even mention it. And to me, it's a full price movie.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, although I will say it's a low full price only because, and I don't think it's really the fault of anyone except the studio, once again, of trying awkwardly to split this up into two films when maybe it shouldn't happen that way. Maybe they just should have said, screw it, we're going to make a 3 hour and 15-minute film.
I'm going to go low full price because it does, what they were trying to do does appeal to my sensibilities. The whole thing of treating this seriously, having the drama work in it. The only thing I can say that doesn't really work is, like I said, the pacing of it and how that movie just really starts strong and just kind of really does whimper out near the end. But, we have another movie to go, and I'm going to let it go because of that. And enjoy some of the people that showed up in the film. Was Bill Nye in the last movie? No. Yeah, you'd have some people who show up again. Bill Nye, I love all the characters that they have who are assembling for a big battle.
They really do, grab every British actor for these things.
They do, yeah.
But they grab all the good ones, so that's cool. Rhys Ifans in it.
Rhys Ifans, who I love.
Still no Eddie Izzard, though? What the hell? Oh.
Yeah, I know. He would be perfect.
Is we got one more movie. Cross-dressing wizard?
Well, we got one more movie to go. We'll see. I really did enjoy this movie. It really is nice to see true, sincere filmmaking go for a movie with this kind of budget.
I like the things they passed up on doing. The trying to pander to a broader audience. I appreciate that. Most movies wouldn't do that.
Wow. Well, I'm truly baffled. I don't know if somebody put a spell on you guys after me watching this film. Just really thinking that you guys would honestly really enjoy it as much as you did. Which, I mean, if you did, that's great. I mean, obviously there's a couple of you here who are familiar with that book, but me as an outsider looking in, there was nothing at all that appealing to me. If they want to turn it into an art film, that's great, but that's not what I'm coming to see. I don't want to see a art film, Harry Potter film. I want to be reintroduced into the world of magic. I want you to wow me. I want you to take me on a goddamn adventure.
We're taking you to see Carrot Top.
But I'm
watch Percy Jackson.
I'm kidding. You know what? Percy Jackson is a masterpiece compared to this film. And and that's not saying
the line they quote.
And that's not saying much. And I'm not proud of saying that because I was really pumped up to see this movie, and honestly, it just let me down. So, I mean, the parts that were supposed to be intriguing and exciting, they were, but there were so far and few between that it just didn't help this movie for me. So I'm giving it a straight up rental.
I tell you one thing I did not understand in this. This is the one that starts out really pretty much in the Muggle world, which is us. I'm a Muggle-ro, if you excuse me. But they start
Muggle,
right,
please.
Muggle, please. But they start right out like battling in the middle of London, the city, and I'm just wondering, are people do they not know that this stuff is happening?
It's reached that point where before it was, you had a whole ministry that was dedicated to like not letting regular people know what happened.
The new power, Voldemort, he don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's planning on killing all the Muggles anyway.
Voldemort don't care if you at home reading the paper and taking a shit. He's like, anything goes. Get out the way.
I don't want to be a bowl of sour assholes here, but
is there any other kind of assholes?
Not really, no. But I will say,
what kind of assholes you eating?
I will say, I actually do. I didn't want to forget this, but there is one beautiful moment in this film involving the story of the Deathly Hallows. It's an animated sequence, which I honestly have to say, whoever created that was just beautiful.
And that's another one of those things where I was like, wow, this is so cool. They felt the freedom to just throw something like that in the middle of it. This other total art piece that's beautiful.
Normally, a movie like this, I would
never do something like
never
that.
have the balls.
Co-host
Studio executive would have said.
I will give that is the one biggest brightest spot in this film.
I probably would have been just like you, man, being like, I probably wouldn't have said rental, but I probably would have been low matinee if the artistry had just not been so amazing in this movie. I mean, again, it's one of those movies where the special effects, they blend in with the story instead of like putting itself before the story.
They serve the story rather than the story serving the
exactly.
There's a lot of scenes that when they were recreated looked exactly like they did in my imagination when I read them.
Well,
and that's what really happens.
Beautiful cinematography. Yeah. I mean, okay, they're out in the woods a lot, but they really made it look nice sometimes when they were out there.
Well, and then they would go to all these different locations and actually go to all these different locations, because most movies now are just like, set up a soundstage and green screen it all. And when they go to locations, it feels real, and I dug that.
But saying that, once again, beautiful scenery doesn't make a great movie.
I don't think
you understand that, Leon?
I think it's a bit. I think it can be a very helpful part of it, and I think you actually left the theater several times, either mentally or otherwise. Were you on the internet in your head? Is that what I was going? Because you're saying stuff that never happened.
Look, I think you got that goddamn amulet, whatever the fuck that thing is, that makes you change who you really are. I think it just warped your whole review.
All Horcrux you son of a bitch.
Expectro, get rid of Voldemort.